Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Lori Palau, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I am your host, Lori Palau, and if you're listening in real time, happy September. I know it sounds cliche, but I have no idea how we have already gotten through almost like 3/4 of this year already. It's like crazy town. And so depending on where you live, I know in this corner of our world, we are preparing for back to school. So it is all about routines and getting that new back to school clothes and school supplies and meal planning and lunches and homework and all of the things that come along with that kind of fresh start of September. So even though my girls are big and I'm kind of out of that immediate back to school mode, I have so many people in my world who are in the throes of all the things. And so I thought today for you guys, I would be focusing in on 5 essential areas that will help you and your kiddos get and stay organized as you kick off this new school year. So we're just going to talk about 5 specific areas. Obviously, there's way more. There's a lot we could go on, but I just was listening to and thinking about my own, like back in the day, the areas that I wanted to set myself up for success. And so we're just going to go run through them. Okie doke. First one is creating a homework hub. Now, if you're a longtime listener, you may have heard me talk about this on previous episodes, but if you're new to our show, a homework hub is just this little phrase that I coined several years ago, actually, for the central place in our home where we kept all of the kids' extra school supplies. So your homework hub could be an area of your kitchen or your living room. It could be a portable little cart that you have, like maybe if you don't have like a dedicated workspace, your homework hub is where kids can find pencils, erasers, rulers, protractors, extra loose leaf paper, index cards, you name it, like kind of all of those central places. It also is designed for a place for them to keep the supplies that they need to, or books, resources that maybe stay at home. So maybe they are playing a musical instrument and they have their, their music book. Where do you keep that? It's in the homework hub. I don't know about you, but when my kids were younger, they would always be like, Mom, where's my fill in the blank? So for us, the first line of defense was, did you check the homework hub? And again, you don't need a large space if you live in an apartment or you have a small home and you don't have a dedicated space for it. You can have a portable file box as your homework hub. You could have a tray for your homework hub that you kind of pick up with little categories. We used to have a wall mount, almost like a command center area that's where the kids would keep folders if they were working on a project or something that they didn't take back and forth to school. It's not where they kept their backpacks. That's a different area. We'll get to that. But this was kind of, where do we go to get all of the things? I need a ruler. I need a calculator. I mean, now they have them on their phones, but back in the day, they didn't. All of those things. They need whiteout, whatever. That is all in your homework hub. So figure out what that is going to look like and set that up. Okay, doke. If you have questions and you're not sure what a homework is, we have a bunch on our Pinterest page, so you can go and look on our Pinterest for homework hubs and you'll see a bunch of them. Okay. Number 2 is establish a drop zone. Now this is different. So the drop zone is where your kids are going to come in after school or as they're getting ready to leave for school. And that's where they keep their shoes. That's where they keep their backpack. Um, Again, that's where they keep their jackets. If they play an instrument or a sport, it might be where they keep some of those extra supplies. So if you have a laundry room or a mud room, that might be where your drop zone is. If you live in an apartment or a small home, it might be by your front door or your back door, depending on where your point of entry comes in. But you want to have one central place for your drop zone. And this goes for adults too. You want to have a place for your keys and your purse and, all of the things that you use entering or leaving the house, right? So whether it's coming or going, you want to be able to have an easy place for you to just drop your stuff. And again, hopefully the goal is to cut down on the stress in the morning as you're leaving, the yelling, where's my fill in the blank? Everything is in their proper drop zone. Okay, the third area is setting up grab and go after school snacks. I don't know about you, but when I come home from a long day of work, if I have been like on the go, on site all day, I come home and I'm ravenous. So having food that's accessible and ideally healthy, nutritious food is great because your kids are going to come in, whether it's car pickup or off the bus or whatever it is. And chances are they're going to be hungry, they're going to be thirsty. So what can you do to set up? So whether that means you have a bunch of like fresh fruit on hand and they can easily go into the refrigerator and get it, or kind of, if you have like fruit on the counter, grab some like apples, bananas, whatever, or have stuff in the pantry, but have it neat and organized for them so they know, oh, here, they don't have to go fishing for things. Here's granola bars. Here's, I want to make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever it is. You want to make sure that they have these grab and go snacks. You want to have things like cheese sticks and yogurts and applesauce, all of these like, those go-go squeezers. They were a big favorite in our house because likely your kids are going to come home. They're going to be hungry. You don't want them to spoil their dinner. You don't want them necessarily filling up on junk food. I mean, sure, if you wanted some grab and go junk food snacks, I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm not going to other mother you, but kids will eat what's available. And especially as you want them to focus in on homework and have like good cognitive function, if we can have those healthy, accessible things on hand, that is great. And the more that you can create a system and a zone that they can access themselves, the more independence they'll have, and and they'll have to rely on you less to get it for them. And maybe that means meal prepping on, Sundays and saying, I'm going to cut up a bunch of fruit and leave it there so that when they come home, they can have it. Whether you work inside or outside the house, I know a lot of times parents are busy. And when the kids come in off the bus, you want them to be able to access these things without you having to stop and do it for them. So if you can prep stuff either in the morning before they come home, before like you get into your day, or the night before, whatever that looks like, having that handy. And my kids like that too. They like to just be able to come in and get their stuff. All right. The fourth thing that we're going to do, the fourth organizing tip, is to have a central calendar of events. Now, I've talked about this a bunch. So you can have, there's not, again, one size fits all in any way, shape, or form. I love digital calendars because they're easy to share, they're easy to update, they're easy to change, they're easy to set up recurring appointments. All of that's great. But there's something to be said to be able to have that visual. I'm going to be able to look at a big kind of wall calendar at a glance and see whose activities are what. And so I think for kids, having that, whether you're sharing the family calendar, but also letting them come in there and see like, oh, I've got Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts on this day. I've got soccer practice on this day. It helps them to also have some ownership in their schedule and start that conversation about time management, because that is a huge part of living an organized life and a lot about what we talk about here. And so when it comes to setting up those schedules, the earlier you can include your kids in that conversation, the better it is for them as well as it is for you. So I would have that calendar somewhere. Again, it's going to depend on what your setup of your home looks like, but I would have it in kind of a central area. So if you have, again, we're talking a kitchen, we're talking a hallway, a mud room, somewhere where it's not obtrusive, but it's visible, right? It's in a spot that they walk in often, that they're going to see it. Your kids, certainly, depending on their ages, can have ones in their rooms. Let them update it, stay on top of it. But having one central family calendar where everybody, especially if you're in a family with multiple kids who are involved in all different activities, I think it's nice for all the players of the family to kind of get an idea of what's happening. So I love that. And then that leads me into the fifth area, which is setting up a command center. And we've talked and we've done episodes about command centers before, where we talk about what is a command center. A command center is a place where you have all of the, all of your incoming mail, and where you RSVP for things, and you have easy access to doctor's appointment reminders and field trip permission slips that you have to sign. And that's like your adult homework hub. So as your kids have their where do I go place, the command center is for you. That is for you, mom, or you, dad, to have that central place where this is where all the things are. This is my mission control. And that's where I run the house out of those things. And so having that you can easily access, update, do all the things when you have time to do them is going to be great. So maybe you don't have time to respond to this permission slip right now, but put it in your command center so that when it is time for you to sit down and respond or pay your bills or whatever, exactly where everything is. It's in your command center. And also in your command center, you should have things like I keep a checkbook, because I don't really write a lot of checks anymore, but I keep my checkbook in my command center. So if I do have to pay something, I know exactly where it is. I have Post-it notes, I've got pens, I've got a stapler, all those kind of like essential things. And my command center happens to be in my kitchen, because that's where I spend the majority of my time. And so it's in my kitchen, but you can decide where your command center makes the most sense. It could be in a home office, it could be in the kitchen, it could be in the living room, wherever it makes sense for you. So if you focus in on these 5 areas, and obviously there's a lot more areas we could go on and talk about room organization and meal planning and all these other things. But if you just focus in on these 5 things, setting up those systems along with your kids, depending on obviously their ages, that is going to set you up for success. So again, I'm just going to run through them. Creating a homework hub, establishing a drop zone, doing grab and go after school snacks, having a large family calendar of events, and setting up your command center. So having all of those things are going to really position you for a successful year, and hopefully a lot less stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So if this has been helpful, please share this episode with a friend. We love being able to help you guys. And just a reminder, next week, we are going to be kicking off our fall business mentoring cohort, which is for anybody who is interested in starting a professional organizing business. We're talking just really new, getting out of the gate, wants some tangible, actionable things. How can I start making even $1,000 a month 4 days a week. That's all, or sorry, 4 days a month, once a week. Whether you're working 1 day a week or you want to work 3 days a week or 5 days a week, we can help you get set up. But with as little as 1 day a week, you can start bringing in $1,000 a month as a professional organizer, and we can show you how to do that. So check out that link below in our show notes. Again, not sure if there's going to be any spots remaining, but if not, we will have a wait list for our next cohort. So definitely check that out. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Hope your September is off to a great start. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simply the letter B like boy organized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.